Hello, I'm James Nathan. I'm going to be cooking on the new LUCE Hob by Hotpoint. And I'm going to do a very simple dish. It's sea bass with a butter sauce, and it really shows off this wonderful hob and how it cooks. And what I love about this hob is that you barely see the flame working, but it's going to get a really intense heat. The first thing to do is to get a pan hot to steam off some shellfish. I've got some clams and some mussels here. We've got a lovely, lovely, fierce, intense heat, but it's all over the pan. It's very even. So I'll put the shellfish in and they sizzle immediately. They're going to take about 30 seconds, and while they're doing that, I'm just going to chop a shallot, and that's going to be for our sauce. And you can see that they're steamed open, and there's some lovely cooking liquor in the bottom of that pan, which has got all the flavour in it. I'm going to pop my shallot into the pan, and in that I'm also going to put a bay leaf and a couple of peppercorns, about 4 or 5. And a good slug of white wine vinegar. And back in goes the mussel and clam juices. And they make a really just delicious fish stock. It's the most intense flavour. What I really want to do is reduce that down quickly to keep all those lovely seafood flavours in there. But also I want to get it to a point where it's just 2 teaspoons of liquid left. So you need to have it really controllable. Although you've only got a small little blue flower of a flame, it's delivering some really intense heat. And that's the kind of heat that I would expect from a sort of commercial kitchen. It's quite unusual to see a domestic hob, especially with such a small flame, delivering such a punch of heat. To really stabilise the sauce like this, a good trick is just to add a dash of cream. It just gives you a nice, stable starting point to make your emulsion from, because that's what you're doing. You're emulsifying lots of fats together. And you want this minutely controllable. And this has got, if you look at this dial, it's got a long way to travel, which means you've got this wonderful range of heat to play with. So I'm going to grab my whisk and just drop cubes of butter in and just start whisking them in. I can smell that the acidity and all the vinegary smells have reduced a bit. Taste it. Oh yeah, it's really good. It's got that nice buttery flavour. And while that's happening, I think I'll heat a frying pan up, because we're going to fry off a piece of bass to go with this. And this is where you really want controllable heat. The thing with cooking fish, what it really shows, to get crispy skin, but not to burn the skin, and to cook the flesh all the way through, you've got to have exactly the right temperature. And a great trick for doing fish is to oil the skin first, just a drop of oil on the skin and rub it in, rather than oiling your pan. And immediately you can hear the fish doing something. It's hit the pan. Other trick I'm going to use is put a little weight on the fish, and that helps to flatten it down where the fish curls up when you first put it in the pan. That'll just help it flatten down. And already I can see that there's a really even spread of colour forming on the skin of the fish. My fish is about there, so I'm going to flip it over, turn off the heat and just let that cook while we get this other pan hot. The last element to this dish is a bit of wilted spinach. And all I've done is wash some spinach, and I'm going to grab a handful of that. It's got a bit of moisture in it, and that's really what's going to cook the spinach, the residual moisture on the leaves. And immediately we're getting a lovely sizzling sound, which means the spinach is cooking off nicely. Get a bit of seasoning in there, and a couple of knobs, 2 or 3 knobs of butter, just to give it a bit of flavour. While that spinach wilts off, I'm just going to pop our shellfish back into the sauce, because that's just going to finish our sauce. The first thing on the plate is a bit of spinach. Got that lovely bass, really even colour across the skin. Just scattering a bit of dill to your sauce. And this sauce is quite rich, it's quite intense, it's very buttery, it's got that vinegary, it's got that lovely shellfish flavour in it. But a nice little drizzle around the edge of the plate. And then just arrange your shellfish around. Sea bass with a seafood beurre blanc on a bed of spinach. All done on the beautiful LUCE Hob by Hotpoint.